welcome to the B Team Podcast. I am your host, Josh Safran, with my co-host,
Matt Mars,
and our permanent guest,
Rob Nelson.
We're here every week to talk to you about all things Bentonville, bourbon, and business. The B Team Podcast. Be here. Welcome to the B Team Podcast. I'm your host, Josh Safran, with our permanent alternate,
Jim Corbett.
And we are here every Thursday for all things business, Bentonville, and bourbon. And Jim, you're getting a lot of airtime the last couple of weeks. The permanent guest and the co-host have been no-shows.
I feel like I've maybe offended them, and I feel like maybe, they're like, wanting to, I don't know, stay away. Certainly, I'm very happy to fill in, but I definitely miss the guys.
I see them. I saw them last night. I don't miss them as much.
You don't miss them as much?
No, because it's not that hard to show up. You just show up in life.
They're very busy. Very busy, important people.
Well, you were busy this morning, and you gave me 10 seconds of your time when I called you.
I will. I'll start with a story here. I'm very transparent, and my wife, who I've mentioned before, Corey, tells me.
Shout out to Corey.
I answer the phone too much. Like, if you call me on the phone, if I see the phone ringing, I will answer it.
Scott, call him right now. See if he answers.
I would do it. Scott doesn't have my number. But, so this morning, Josh calls me, and I'm in the middle of something. I'm on a deadline for work. I've got to get done. I've got about 20 minutes left, but I know we're doing the podcast later. Maybe Josh is calling me about something important. So I answer the phone, and I say, Josh, I got 10 seconds. And he goes, hey, what's up? Hello, everybody. I'm like, Josh, I don't have time. He's like, you don't have to be a jerk about it. I'm like, I got to go. I'll talk to you later.
Well, but I stirred up the pot. You said 10. If you would have said I have 10 minutes, I would be like, hey, Jim.
I was very tense. So then later, I did the right thing. I apologized. I called Josh back. I said, I'm sorry. I was a bitch this morning. But you caught me at a bad time, and I shouldn't have answered the phone. That's the lesson learned here, Scott. I shouldn't have answered the phone.
But the reality is next time you'll have to host at your house because you offended me, and I just can't have you anymore.
You haven't been on our little get-together on this before. Josh hates hosting anything. Anytime he has an opportunity to put the hosting duties on anyone else, especially Rob or myself, Matt's kind of more in your camp.
Yeah, Matt doesn't like people.
Matt doesn't like people at his house either, but Rob is extraordinarily generous at hosting.
Like no sports games, nothing, just...
Nothing.
If there's a game on, I'll say, hey, Jim, why don't you host tonight? Like, I'll volunteer Jim hosting.
Right. Yes, Josh invites us over if he needs furniture moved. That's pretty much it.
That's true. And occasionally, shout out to my first divorce. Occasionally, you have to come over.
That does happen.
Do that.
That does happen.
Well, we're going to try some interesting stuff today. We're a part of the bourbon community here. One of the guys on one of the local pages posted that he has Buffalo Trace bourbon. So we all like Buffalo Trace. And then he aged it with honey-aged oak barrel for 33 days. So this is going to be Buffalo Trace in a sweet finish. And Jim, I have bottle number 10 of 12.
10 of 12. I've got to say, first of all, if we like this, are there any more available? Can we get or they're all gone?
No.
Second, regardless of how it tastes, it might be good, it might be terrible. The image on the bottle is outstanding.
Uh-oh.
Feel a situation here, Drew. You might have to get to the gym.
Oh.
Well, all right, I'll work on this while you introduce our guest who's here today.
That was a bad.
We're going to figure this out.
You got it?
Well, no.
You're adding no value.
Don't need a key or something. Don't embarrass me in front of our guests.
Well, while we're trying to do this, I want to introduce Scott Cronin. I'm pronouncing it correctly.
Yep.
Yeah. So you were our first guest that we got through, second guest through the Queenie Bee Hive networking. Shout out to Queenie Bee. And you reached out and you said, hey, I want to be a part of the podcast. So I said, well, what do you do? And then you said lots of things tied into filmmaking.
Yes, sir.
Moved out here from Southern California in 2022. And I thought, how cool. Like, our little town is starting to become a filmmaking mecca with obviously everything going on with HGTV and David, Jenny, Mars. I said, I'd love to have somebody in the film industry come in and talk about why they're here, what they're doing, and how you're growing that ecosystem. So welcome. Thanks for coming.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I appreciate it. Moved my family out here in 2022. Got 2 little girls, and we were just seeking a little slower paced life from Southern California, and certainly having more. Yeah, thank you, sir. Cool. Having more like cows around is always a plus.
Cows are good.
Yeah.
Well, what made you pick here from Southern California?
It was the show. The Mars's show.
Really?
Because we looked at some other places, but the only reason we knew of this place was because of their show, and kind of came out to check it out. Cheers, gentlemen.
Cheers.
Cheers.
And it smells good. It's such a beautiful, beautiful place.
If you like sweet, that is outstanding.
So I'll be honest. I anticipated that it would be sweeter and that I would not like it very much. It's actually really good. It's not overly sweet. It's just a nice little hint on it. They did not overdo it with the honey at all.
Yeah.
It's really good.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Good, right?
Yeah, it's delicious.
Yeah.
All right, so continue. West Coast, coming here, talking to two East Coast guys.
Because of the show, which is
because of the show, which is fantastic.
Yeah, so once we saw, I mean, it just took one trip out here to know this was like kind of the right place to raise our kids, and everybody's so friendly. The schools are really good. You also have like a lot of culture stuff that maybe a lot of small towns don't have, right? Like with the museums and all the parks and the mountain biking and all the stuff that you can do around here. So it was a pretty easy choice for us to get out here. And then
now, do you feel if the show was based in Omaha and do you feel like the show itself said, I want to come fly here and see it?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, because the like the style of homes, the quality of people and stuff like that you see on the show consistently was one of the reasons. Yeah, we came out, check it out.
So Matt didn't show up today. Matt, he probably wanted to meet Matt instead of stuck with you and I.
He got stuck. This is today truly the B team.
This is truly
the B team of the B team.
Yes.
Nice. But yeah, man. So ultimately, coming out here, I started to sort of research once we were out here a little bit more about like what happens out here in the film world. We sort of just made the move without really me putting too much thought into what I was going to do in my career out here, right? And so I knew that I could adapt, but seeing, I guess there has been traditionally a lot of film production out here, like well over 100 movies have been made in Arkansas.
Did you know that this many movies?
I didn't know.
In Arkansas or Northwest?
Well, Arkansas total. Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of different projects that have been filmed here over the years. Recently,
I know recently with the Bentonville Film Festival in the area, there's been a lot more attention around film. I did not realize that the level of production was that high.
Yeah, and it's interesting just driving around like some of the canyons in the back or when you're like off the grid a little bit back there, you'll see like a film production sign and all the trailers and stuff just randomly on some property. So I know, it is happening. I also understand there's like a really good collection of crew and stuff out here, people who have worked on films and things, especially as more people I think are coming out from other areas like California.
Well, you have to work to find those people. It's like if you want to be in the supplier community or Walmart or Tyson JB Hunt, they're all over the place. They're here. You probably had to research a bit and go find it. I'm sure it's a smaller population.
Yeah, for sure. There is a website. I can't remember the name right now, but there's like a crew website where you can kind of go on and a lot of the creatives are listed on there. People who know how to operate cameras or who know art department, those kinds of things, sound guys, stuff like that. So I know it won't be that hard, I think, to put a crew together in the town. And the state has some really good production incentives, so like you can spend a certain amount of money through pre-production and post within the community, right? They want you to hire local and stay local and things like that. So the money comes into the community, right, from the film production, and then they give you a certain percentage of that back in like a cash rebate. Which, for your investor obviously is a really great deal because it's like, say you spend $500,000 in the state, you can get $150,000 back, provided you meet all the requirements. But where, now you're only on the hook really for $350,000 to turn a profit on that film, right? Or how that would.
Arkansas does a good job of that, Jim, from my day job with Plug and Play. Anytime there's somebody investing in the region here, the state ends up taking money back because we want business in here. And this is not, of the 50 states, Arkansas would not be in the top 2 or 3 where film is thought about. So being able to incentivize folks to come here and do movies, I think that's super cool.
Yeah.
How much of the $350,000 budget for this show do you get in
per episode? Right?
I mean, I'm imagining we're not a hotbed of podcasts here in Arkansas. We probably have a little bit of an incentive.
I mean, let's just say that this bottle came through the show today.
Oh, fantastic.
That's exciting.
Look at that.
That is a nice incentive.
I meant the water bottle.
Oh,
Water bottle.
Nice. But yeah, ultimately, I really want, I'm an award-winning filmmaker. And so in the past, I've
hold on. Award-winning. You can't just throw out award-winning. I mean,
without the obvious question, what awards have you won?
Well, so I've won a Best Editing Award at a film festival back in California. I won a Best Short Film Award. Thank you.
That's super cool.
At a international festival in London for an art film that I made. It was 35 minutes long, and but ended up winning the best short out of like hundreds of films from around the world. That was kind of a really cool experience.
We have royalty here.
So question, so names of these films, is it something that we can access, or could we tell our listeners, hey, go, rent this movie on Netflix?
Sure. One of them. Yeah. The most recent one, which was in 2020, my friend Steve Elkins directed it. It's a documentary called Echoes of the Invisible. And I highly recommend it. It's very, very intellectual, but like beautifully shot, beautiful movie. talks about kind of
Intellectual,
like,
you're out.
Well,
It's a little over you.
you know,
there's space there for everybody. You know, you can get something out of it. Yeah,
that's right. I have an appreciation for art.
yes, and but it's a really beautiful film, and we ended up winning the best cinematography award for that at the South by Southwest Film Festival in 2020.
That's incredible.
Which was right when the pandemic hit, so they ended up showing it to the jury. We didn't get to go to the festival because it was like 4 days before we were getting on an airplane. They're like, "Oh, the whole country shut down," you know. So you know, it was what it was, but still was a beautiful experience to be able to get that recognition and win that award for it, and you know, continue to kind of move forward with things. So as I've come out here, I was like, well, hey, you know, I think that Gina Davis is involved with the Bentonville Film Festival, right? And she you know, she kind of is in this community. I know some other people, maybe like Billy Bob Thornton, are from around here, things like that. And so I just thought, you know, why not make this more of a hotbed of film production, you know? So I've got a couple screenplays that I wrote that I'm trying to, you know, figure out where the investment can come from to get those things off the ground here in our local community.
What are the screenplays? Can you share what it's about?
Sure. One's in Memoriam. It's a thriller. And it's sort of I guess the logline would be like, you know, a young girl's father, war hero father, falls into a coma. And then years later, she comes upon this technology at school that allows her to go into his memories and visit him through his memories. And then she finds out that he's maybe not such a stand-up guy
Wow, that's pretty
after
cool.
all, you know,
Right,
and kind of comes through the realization of who her father really is, has to come to terms with that as an adult woman, right? And then he ends up passing on. He's able to let go once they've had that interaction.
Let's get this made. I would watch that.
I know, man.
Watch that too.
Very cool.
That. Let's get that made. So what does it take to get something like that made? So they can, all right, you got this cool screenplay, you wrote it.
Yep.
How do we then say, all right, what's the next steps to get it to where it would be on Netflix or Amazon or out in the theaters?
Yeah, I mean, really, the barrier to entry is the investor. You know. So yeah, exactly.
How much money you want to invest, Jim?
No, listen, right, Jim. I got to hear a little.
You got $100? You got a couple hundred?
Yeah, I could maybe see out at it.
Well, yeah. So you know, it really just depends on like each individual film obviously is going to have a different requirement in terms of like what it needs to get off the ground financially, right? A film like this though, it's pretty small cast. There's not too many locations. A lot of the locations can get dressed up, you know, twice, like you can do the same house for two different things, and you know, one hospital for the two different
Josh
locations.
loves hosting stuff at his house.
He sure does.
If you
That's what I heard.
If you need a set, boy, I tell you what. And the good thing is, most people have not seen it. Certainly, the inside of it would be foreign to almost anybody.
Out. This is when I say out.
That's so funny. But yeah, so it just depends on, for each individual film, like what his budget is. This film is certainly, you know, under $1 million. I would say even around like the $500,000 to $600,000 range, this film can get made, which is extremely low for films. I mean, you know, a $5 million film is a low budget, you know, film for the most part. But honestly, across my career, I've played so many different parts of, you know, production and post, and I know so much about it. I've been an editor for 20 years. I've produced stuff. I've, you know, directed things. I've, you know, worked on set with $100 million movies when I was first starting out, you know, that I really truly believe that, you know, with a small crew and the right team put together, I can make something happen for not a lot of money.
Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
You say you've been in this for over 20 years.
Yes, sir.
I would imagine the landscape has changed. We mentioned COVID earlier. And, you know, I would imagine now with all the streaming services and things like that, how is it different today versus when it was 10 or 20 years ago in terms of making a film?
Yeah.
Is there more avenues for you to have success, or is there that much more competition out there so it's harder to get noticed? I don't know.
No, it's a good question. Yeah.
I have one per.
I feel like you wrote that one down before.
Yeah, I didn't. I had no idea it was coming.
Yeah.
You saw.
That was just off the top. That was a good one.
I get one per session.
Ultimately, you know, it's certainly easier. Like the barrier of entry used to be extremely high to get into film, right? Because you had to have these like massive cameras and all this money, and you know, the production itself was huge. Over time, of course, with like digital and everything that's transpired, you know, you said 10 to 20 years, but even going back a little further than that, it's lowered the bar, you know, and now pretty much anybody can go out. I mean, you could literally make a film on your phone. You know, these are quality enough at least that you could shoot it on your phone. I wouldn't recommend it, but you could.
Okay.
But in terms of like distribution, which is sort of what you're talking about, like streaming and, you know, and whatnot, I think it does open up more avenues for people like independent filmmakers to get their products out and to get their films seen. It doesn't necessarily equate to like more profit for everyone, because, like I have a film on, Amazon right now, on iTunes and stuff like that. And that doesn't necessarily mean like we've made our money back from, that I put into the film to begin with. Right. So it just depends on the project itself. And so I was actually just talking to a good friend of mine yesterday, a producer that I worked with a bunch named Bill Ostroff, back in California. He's got a couple of films that he's producing right now. He's trying to get off the ground. He's got one that's being released right now from like, he shot it 3 years ago, and it's coming on to, streaming December 5th, I believe he said. And we were talking about it, and he said, his perspective, which I thought was pretty correct, is that, it's like that first film you're going to put out, it's going to go straight to streaming, and like, and that's okay. Like, you don't want the overhead of like a theatrical release, because that's, a lot of money, right? To do the prints or even the digital release.
A lot of pressure.
It sure does, yeah. And then you have to advertise, right? So there's a lot of times if a film's budget is $2 million, you're spending another $2 million in advertising, in P&R essentially to get the word out about the film, and then distribute it. So the initial piece would be like, your film's going to go straight to streaming. Then once you've sort of hit the streaming market with something, then you can, like maybe the second film, it's like, well, let's do a theatrical release, right? Where you can say, okay, we're gonna play in like 10 cities for 2 weeks or something, and just try to build momentum there, so that at least you're in the trades, and you're kind of, that takes it to a new place in terms of the distribution. So at that level, then you're getting more eyes on it and more kind of like earned media, right, around the film.
Sure.
So people then, know to go rent it on the streaming platforms and whatnot. And then when you hit that like third film, you're probably ready for like a bigger release, where you can, if you get the right, like if you can get them with like Buffalo 8 or with A24, there's a lot of these companies that'll distribute into theaters. And once you're at that level, you're either, that's make or break, right? Because if the film doesn't do, if you shot a $10 million movie and you go to theaters and you don't make back even, $10 million, like that's probably it.
No blame.
Yeah, you're not going to get to make that fourth film.
Nope.
So for me, it's really about that, bringing that artistic quality to it. There's the business end, which is super important, of course, where a lot of times independent producers won't do like development, like studio development on a project, which is, who are we going to cast? Who's going to direct it? Like, where are we trying to sell the film, right? And then they make all those sort of pre-sale deals before they ever start filming. So they know like, okay, we're going to make 2 times or 1.8 times our budget when we do this film XYZ, right? We make it with this person, this, you know what I mean? What a lot of times independent producers do is they're just like, I have this really cool idea, or I got this really cool script, let's go make it. And then they just go and they, without really doing that like pre-math of, the business end of it. And then, they're not making money back to their investors, and then they ultimately can't make any more movies.
I feel like the screenplay with the daughter and the
What was it called again?
In Memoriam.
yeah, but I could save a lot of money. I could be the coma guy.
Yeah. You want to play the dad? There you go.
I mean, $50, some good food, and a beautiful coaster.
Yeah. We just need a young version of you too, because yeah.
Let me ask you a question. We have a pretty limited audience here, but it's an audience.
Couple 100,000 people.
Couple 100,000 people. If I would imagine, being on the West Coast, you have an idea, you want to produce something, you'd have a lot of avenues to get that film made. You'd have an ample supply of actors, actresses. Here, what are the things that make Northwest Arkansas a good place for you to be? And what are the things that are kind of like a struggle? And, boy, I wish I had more of this around here.
Sure.
The pros and the cons.
Yeah, what are the pros and the cons?
Pros and the cons of the NWA.
I brought my A game.
Well, first I'll say, the first thing I'll say about that question is, in areas like New York and California, Southern California and things like that, it's so saturated that like I have some, 2 decades of mastery in my career, right? And like I know a lot about my industry and how to get things made. But so does, 100,000 other people where I'm at. Everybody's got a screenplay, everybody's trying to get a film made, you know what I mean?
Sure.
And so I feel like the gatekeepers have that locked up pretty tight, much more so than in like a smaller community maybe here, right? Where I was at an event down in Searcy, Arkansas, back in April, and I think like Height Digital put it on or something, and Governor Sanders came down, Huckabee Sanders came down, and she just was there meeting people.
That's a big deal,
and right, and yeah, it's
California.
You're never going to see the governor. Right?
You're one of 100,000.
Yeah, even the mayor. I mean, we're here. Like the mayor gave me his cell phone number, and he's like, "Call me anytime." In Centerton.
Wow.
And it's just a different place. You know, it's just a different feel. So a pro to me is that you can access people and you can like sit down and break bread with people in a much simpler way, without the pretense and without that sort of like, you know, guardianship or whatever, right? That people would put up back in California.
So the next
con. I want to hear the con.
we want to hear the cons, sure.
Yeah. Well, some other pros, if I can first, before I get into the cons.
the
I guess.
There's a lot of questions.
Yeah,
optimism.
there's a lot of pros to me in this area, right? One, I was talking about the production incentives, which are really good. A lot of states are just tax rebates or tax write-offs, which take a few years to really see. And so this is a cash rebate, so you can actually get that for your investor when you finish production, which is huge.
As soon as you're done,
Yeah,
you send me the check.
yeah. I think it's within 90 days or 45 days or something.
That's great.
And then also there are no permit fees here. Most locations don't need a permit. So, back in California, I mean, the hoops you have to jump through just to film on a street or just to like, closing down a street is a whole thing, but even just to like film inside of someone's house or in front of
I feel like I may have led you down a bad path because Josh is going to charge a fee. I have no doubt. If you're going to
For
use
his house, yeah.
no doubt about it.
Well,
Josh
definitely
is
using
I mean, whatever fees you're used to in California, Josh is going to double those fees.
Yeah.
Don't put a turnstile and we'll charge people to come in.
Absolutely.
Even
Yeah.
fast.
for the crew every time,
Everybody.
every time they come in. Yeah. You got to
$10.
pay per entry. Yeah. Makes sense. And then also, I just think that the sheer beauty and like uniqueness of the locations here, like, you have everything from like multi-million-dollar mansions in some of these properties or like huge ranches with these beautiful homes.
Matt Mars.
You right. You got the hay bales, that are just like, as the sun's going down and just like, the beauty of it all. And then you have like these old barns that are falling down, and from like, 150 years ago that used to be, useful at the time. And now these properties are kind of turning into other things. Right. And so, for me, it's like, you have everything that you could need here. You have every single type of location except for the ocean that you could need in a film right here in Northwest Arkansas.
That's a very glass half full approach.
It is. I like the optimism. All right, let's hear the cons.
Well, the cons, I guess, would be, that a lot of times people are like, why would we film there? We can just film, somewhere closer to like, where you can get rentals more easily, gear, crew, things like that.
Sure.
That's a con probably. Another con would maybe be, for me at least, is that I don't have the contacts, that I did back home in my career, right? So pre-COVID, of course, I knew a ton of people that were in this industry and doing stuff. And coming out here, it's a little bit harder, to sort of be like, whoa, where is that happening? I'm not really sure where, how to navigate that as much.
Have you started to kind of expand the network a bit?
A little bit, yeah, for sure.
I mean, this podcast is going to blow off. Sure.
There you go. Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to challenge you here.
Okay.
Write a script for your perfect next 12 months. 12 months from now, you're back on the B Team podcast. What has happened for you in this region? If you could, write it your perfect scenario.
Crystal ball 12 months?
Yes.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's a great question, man. So
Great question.
that's three for three.
Good.
Yeah, he's knocking it out of the park right now.
That's why they're the B team and you're the A team.
Okay, so I'm going to back up. Anecdotally, I was having a conversation with a man who's his name's Kent Emmons. He's like a kind of big time like media company owner. Okay. And I was saying, hey, let's open a studio out here in Northwest Arkansas. Like, let's build a facility that's like state of the art, and try to entice production. And he was saying that the studios that have been built recently, there's like a $450 million studio, I think maybe in Dallas. There's one in Tulsa that got built, something in Nashville. He was telling me the cities. They're empty 90% of the time. Okay. And so those guys, those owners are looking for shows like TV shows. They don't necessarily want to do films. They want to do TV shows, right? Because you have multi-episodes, you have advertisements in it and stuff, right? And you can make money through that. Those guys want to co-own and sort of co-produce stuff like that, content like that. Okay. So for me, right, what I would like to see happen for my life over the next 12 months, if I was going to say, this is my perfect script and, here I'm back, it's November of 2026 and we're sitting down for some whiskey, or some bourbon. My bad.
Either one.
Yeah.
Either one.
That I would say getting my thriller produced, right? So that thriller gets made in Memoriam, right? And that could be like we're, cameras up in the spring, like, kind of a thing if the if the wheels all happen the way they should.
Now, do you have it casted? Do you have people in mind for these roles?
Well, I'm the coma guy. We just decided.
Coma guy, yeah.
Outside of coma guy.
I have some people in mind. It's kind of open, but I have some people in mind. I actually truly think that somebody even like a Gina Davis could play the mom character.
Shout out Gina Davis.
Shout out to Gina Davis.
I know some people through the Bentonville Film Festival.
You could get to Gina.
I don't know that I could get to her.
You could get to Gina.
We could get her.
But somebody like that, I mean, whether it's her or not, they only have to work for 2 or 3 days on the film, and then they have their role in it. There can be a executive producer on the film. Their name gets attached, and then it kind of goes from there.
I feel Matt Mars could have a starring role on the film. I mean, he's already a TV celebrity.
I think Rob's more TV ready.
Guys that do TV, they might want to get into some film.
Yes.
That's right.
Broadway,
it's exciting.
I think we should. Can I help with the audition for that?
Yeah.
Okay, now I want you to roll over and play dead. let's wrap them in honey and all
right. So you're 12 months. You've got your
the film got produced, and then I would say the second piece would be that a television show, a television series would be in development, right? So with one of these studios that I was just talking about, like maybe in Dallas, Trilogy Studios in Dallas, for example.
Can we do like a reality show of the Corbett's? I would watch it because I
was thinking
who are the
like a
that's him.
Oh,
I was thinking more like a 4-guy buddy comedy.
Yeah.
I think we could come up with some ideas. We're idea generators, Josh.
I can tell. But I'll write it. If you guys got a good one, we'll write it up.
Oh, this is going to go well today.
This is good.
Can you imagine like a sitcom here in Northwest Arkansas?
Be amazing.
It would be fantastic.
Part 3 on that would be the thing that I really want is I'm actually just starting like a niche for my video business. So I do film, but that's not like a day-to-day paying the bills kind of a job, right? At the moment, and so I have a video production business. We do marketing and commercials, all that kind of stuff, right? I used to work for Apple for a number of years. We did product launch videos there, and when Steve was still around, and
okay,
so I have a lot of experience over the years working for some pretty big companies, and so I'm launching a construction site storytelling like niche department of my company. And so essentially what we do is use all the latest technology, time-lapse cameras that are solar powered. We use drones to fly over the property, and then do graphic overlays to, like for investor and stakeholder updates.
That's
cool. And then we do like detail days where you're on the ground when there's like important things happening, such as concrete pours, or like the walls are raised, or there's different times where you want to be on the ground and get some like really beautiful footage of the machinery working and things like that. We also do like interviews with the architect and the business owners, and sort of get why their brand is different than there's so many. Literally, like over the last few months, I've been paying attention to the construction companies that are actively building right here in Northwest Arkansas, and I've found 215 different companies right now building on the ground.
Wow. Residential and commercial.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's staggering growth, no doubt, in the area, and tons of buildings. So that makes sense.
Are you contracted by the builder, or are you contracted by the homeowner, or the?
It's the builder. Yeah, the construction company themselves are the ones, the developers and the builders. They're the ones who their marketing teams usually use the footage, right? And so it aids them in a few different ways. Like they're able to use that to try to get more work in the future. And to show like, hey, this is what we do. We did this project down the road, and look how great it came out.
So, having had work done to my house recently, I can tell you that the places that I've worked with, they'll have like a drone flyover at the end of it, or a walkthrough with a camera. Why is what you're going to do so much better? Sell yourself out here.
Sure, absolutely. Well, first of all, it's coming from the marketing side with like Apple and whatnot, and the award-winning storytelling. So bringing that like documentary style of filmmaking to it, so that it's like, we're kind of raising the bar of like what we're seeing and how that story's crafted. Number one. Number two is that, a lot of times like these businesses are doing some kind of time lapse, or they're doing some kind of like image capture of their final building and whatnot. But over the course of a project, it could be 12 months, 18 months, right? As they, go through the full build. It's such a heavy lift, like to be able to tell that amount of detail across that project. And so one of the things that we do is really be able to the time-lapse camera takes a picture every 10 minutes, and so you're imagining the sheer amount of data that is. And so we provide like these monthly updates where they can see a sort of a monthly time lapse of where we're at in the project.
Super cool.
You've got the quarterly updates for the stakeholders, where you can really show like this is where the project is. This was phase 1. We're moving into phase 2, or this is where we're behind. We're going to be in this section of the property, now, et cetera, et cetera. The other thing that's great about it is, the live view that the company gets. So when the camera's up on the pole, they can check anytime they want, like what's going on my job site right now.
So while you're taking the pictures and videos that are going to eventually compile into this great video of it, they can use it while that's happening.
Yep.
As an extra security measure, or as an extra, hey, how's the progress going?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's great. So it's functional for them as well as, artistic at the end of the day from a sales standpoint.
Yeah, for sure. And, it's about like effective communication with their clients, their prospective clients, with their stakeholders, investors, right? It's about showcasing like who they are and what they do and why they're any different than the other 200 businesses that are also building around them, right? And then it's sort of the longevity of it too, because, a lot of times these projects, they spend a year on it and then they move on to something else, and they have some pretty pictures of it, maybe some, a final drone fly through or something of the building, right? But after that, it's like, well, what do you even, say 5 years down the road, you have a potential. It's like, I built this museum, and then 5 years later, they're trying to build another museum in another town nearby, and the guy's like, I want to pitch on that. Yeah, we did that museum. Cool. Well, that's a good story, but like, I can show, 5 years later, they can go back and say, this was the build we did, and this is how, how it turned out, and this is, sort of how we approached it and all that, just through a video.
Yeah, I kind of remember for me is when we just did the build out for the Jen's place. We have a barbershop
For sure.
and we always have to plug the barbershop on the show.
Always the plug with barbershop.
And so our general contractor was amazing, fantastic. And it's all right. Well, we have some pictures to upload. So first of all, I can never log in, couldn't get to the thing. And then they send these pictures every couple of days. And I'm like, what am I looking at? Like, so the intent was there. The technology wasn't where it needed to be.
Sure.
And then we were local, so we could go walk the site every day. But if we're building one in Boston and I'm here, like it almost feels like I'm there watching it without having to be on site.
Yeah.
So I think that's really cool.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, we had a client back in California who, it's a little different because obviously there's a lot of traffic and, it's a little harder to get from place to place, right? But still, in that sense, like she had originally picked like a smaller package that doesn't have live view. It's just a little bit smaller cameras and stuff. And 2 months into that project, she was like, I'm tired of driving out there every single day. I want to be able to see it I want to get up in the morning and just see what's going on the job site. And so she upgraded and switched over to the live view cameras, and she was really happy about that. Because it saves a couple hours every day, like for round trip time.
And, for the same reason we wouldn't hire you to build the house, why are we trusting the people building the house to take the marketing videos if we have someone who's an expert in the field?
Exactly. Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Let us handle that part,
So you worked did you ever meet Steve Jobs? I have to ask.
I did not ever meet him, but I do have a funny story if you want to hear it.
Yeah,
funny story.
Of the Steve Jobs experience. So, yeah, man. So this is exclusive. So
Exclusive. Hold on.
Nice. Okay. So I was doing product launch videos, and I was on the edit team, and so there was like two of us editors, a couple producers, and then his right-hand man Hiroki would come in and sit with us. And this is like days before he's going to get up on stage and introduce the new product. And so I think we were doing I want to say it was the iPhone 5 or something at the time. I can't remember exactly which product it was. And we had been working on this video. It's usually like 8 weeks of, editing. They shoot for 21 days. They spend $5 million, to like make these like little 3-minute videos or whatever that they're going to show at the event, right? Of how the product, what's new in the product and all this stuff. And anyway, so the night before Steve goes up on stage, okay, to present this new product, we're working through the edit, and he's at home. I think he wasn't feeling well already, so he wasn't coming to work. He was at home and stuff. So we're sitting there in the office with me, another editor, the two producers, and Hiroki, okay, his right-hand man. And we send off an edit to him. It's probably 11 o'clock at night, and everyone's like nervous, sitting there, like, oh man, okay, I hope he likes it, that kind of thing. And now, granted, it's been scripted. We know, there's like things have been shot all along the way, so we know what the video is, right? I mean, it's not like a surprise when he sees it. But we finally get the email back. And Hiroki pulls it up. He goes over and he checks his email. And it's like he hit return like 20 times. So, and then it just said, hate it. That was it. That was the whole email. And so from Steve Jobs. So we're all sitting there like, I'm gonna assume he means the music, because like everything else has been scripted, and you know what I mean. So we just like started throwing new music tracks on, and we were there till probably like 5 a.m. Finally got that thing out the door, and
was the music?
Well, yeah, I think ultimately he showed it. You know, he got
wait
on stage
30
and showed
seconds
it.
for like a JK, something like that, or
Right? Yeah, exactly.
Just kidding for those folks at home.
Oh,
Which never came. Yeah, that never came. But yeah, but that was the world of it. You know, it's just like he's very direct and
very direct. You know what Steve Jobs would be doing if he were alive today, right?
what would he be doing?
Scratching at the inside of his cup, and he'd be directing.
Good Lord, come on.
He would be.
Oh, gosh. Cut off from Bourbon.
What?
That's true.
It's a classic.
So going back, I don't even know how you recover from that one. The website, how do people find you? And if somebody wants to be involved in the movie, is there a certain way to connect with you there? If somebody wants to be involved in the real estate video venture, 2 separate ways or just one contact?
Yeah, I would make it simple, I guess, for people. The website's vertex-video.com. Company's Vertex Video, so vertex-video.com.
Vertex, VERTEX.
Yep, perfect. Yep, vertex-video. And then it's Scott at vertexvideo.com if someone wants to reach me that way.
Okay.
And contact information on the site as well. But that's probably the best way, just to, reach out through email or something like that.
If people are looking, I know a few people, actually somebody who used to work here for Podcast Videos just left a couple of weeks ago, and she wants to get into the film industry. Like if people are looking to connect and want jobs, I mean, I assume you're hiring. This movie is going to be fantastic. I'm sure you're going to need people on set to help make sure that Jim has his soda and his water for big scenes that you're in.
Lock your house down so no vagrants are getting in while we're filming.
I can't wait to see Josh's house in film. He's just 2 years from now, we could literally be seeing Josh's house on the big
Imagine
screen.
he drives past my house and goes, "That's the one. We need to be in. We need to film."
We'll go down to the cutting room and watch his house.
Fantastic. Josh could host the opening weekend. Opening weekend box office.
Yeah, but yes, absolutely. If there are creatives in town that like would like to be involved and stuff like that, I would love to start getting compiling those names and numbers and seeing what people have done and what they're good at or what they want to do. I'm really big on like teaching people the industry. I think that for so long, like there were these gatekeepers that would just keep us and like, oh no, you don't get to learn any of that stuff, and if you don't know the studio system, you can't do it, kind of a thing. And and it's just like I don't know. I actually experienced that myself when I was working in restaurants, before I ever got into the industry. And a guy had come in who was like pretty well known filmmaker, if I remember correctly. And I approached him and I said, "Hey, listen, I'm really excited about the industry. Is there anything you can say to me or teach me or anything? And he just totally blew me off. Right, wanted nothing to do with the conversation. Cool. And I guess I get it. You don't want people just walking up to you when you're eating your lunch, but it just seems like there's always been sort of like, people who are like, oh, I don't want to give my knowledge up, right? Because I'm going to hold on to it sacred. And I'm the other way around. Like I truly believe that, I can inspire others to, to get out and make their projects, right? That can make a difference in people's lives. I can, increase the quality of their life and their families' lives through, their knowledge in the film industry, for example. And so, if we can start getting films made out here, like, if I'm producing films here regularly and stuff, then I would love to have, a great crew that I continually hire and, continually work with, from the pre-production teams, right? The actual production teams on the set, on the ground, and then the post teams. There's so many people that can touch a film.
But that's how this community is. I mean, you've been here a long time, and I've been here. The stuff that you said, that somebody would come up to you and say, "Oh, I don't want to be bothered. I want to help." Everybody here. I was just explaining this. I was in California for a business meeting yesterday, and I was explaining to people how this community is. Let me introduce you to this person. Let me introduce you to this person, and everybody pays it forward, and it's very authentic. It's very nice. It's very highly collaborative, and you're not asking for anything in return. But then down the road, that person, hey, let me introduce you to this one. And so everybody's really, really gracious here in this town, which is wonderful.
Well, what's fun about hearing you talk a little bit about what you do is, here we've had tremendous growth, and we've had guests on the podcast for the last 2 years, whether it be restaurants or small business owners, retail shops, charities, all things kind of local. It's kind of cool to have something that's almost a new industry trying to break in. It's something that's completely fresh, completely out of the box. And I'm going to look forward to, seeing in Memoriam when it gets produced. It's going to be exciting.
Yeah, man. Hopefully your name will be in the credits somewhere,
Oh, wow. Well, you definitely keep us posted.
You may be an investor.
I might be. I told them I'm good for at least a C note.
That's like crafty. That's crafty for an afternoon. That's good.
100K.
Oh.
He just signed up for 100K. Did you hear that, Corey? Forget the new addition to the home.
We have no more additions. No more additions. No more additions.
Well, thanks for coming in today, Scott. This was great to have you. We're definitely going to have you back when we get closer to production of the movie.
Awesome, man.
Great. And thanks for Queenie B for getting us introduced in the networking group.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Yeah, but cheers on the back end.
Cheers up.
Empty cheers.
Thank you.
Empty cheers.
Empty cheers.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.